takes place tonight in Sunrise, Florida, between the Oilers and the Panthers. Welcome in, guys, to WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew, and of course, joined by my partner in crime, Carmine Bianco. Carm, welcome in. How are you?
Andrew, hello. Crazy weekend for me. I had a lot of stuff to do, so I didn't get to watch a lot of sports. I'm trying to put my ducks in a row, as they say. A lot of stuff ahead for me. So, but I did get to watch the NHL game. Man, what a game! Game one. We have to touch on game one before we go to game two because there's nothing else to discuss. But if you watch that game, we talk all season long about a goalie who's able to steal a win for a team that doesn't deserve to win a game. And if you're a Florida Panthers fan, come on. Reality is the Edmonton Oilers were by far the better team, Andrew, in that game. Not only the eye test, but even the final analytic numbers. I'm going to put the eye test aside because you watch the games, so you know the Oilers were all over them. 32 to 18 shots on goal, high danger chances 18 to 6, XG number 3.74 to 185. But like I tweeted out, books do not cash wagers based on XG numbers. They base it on the final score. The final score was 3-0 for Florida with an empty netter, of course. Couple mistakes by the Oilers, one to their captain, Connor McDavid, man. He lost his player in the neutral zone, and that guy was away. And before they knew it, it was a 3-on-1 or a 3-on-2. And they find Verhaeghe, and Verhaeghe scores. Man, the Verhaeghe goal props must be good because the guy just seems to. Anytime you see someone scoring, it seems like it's Verhaeghe, and I don't even know how many goals he's got in the playoffs, but he's got to be plus money on those. Bobrovsky, man, he stood on his head, Andrew. 38. Sorry, what did he have? 32 saves in that game. Played absolutely phenomenal. But it brings me to this point as we get into game two. If you watch game one, the Oilers played great. They deserved to win the game. They didn't win the game. So now game two is independent of game one. But if the Oilers are able to match that intensity, less the mistakes, and maybe score on a power play, which they weren't able to do, they could turn the tables tonight and even the series at one. I want to talk about Bobrovsky for a second. We've talked about it. I talk to my clients in DMs about this all the time. The way to beat Bobrovsky is to shoot high. We've seen it all playoffs long. 38 goals he's allowed. Look at this. 38 goals. 22 of the goals are up high, left and right side. Another 8 goals just below his blocker hand or glove catching hand. And then 8 on the ice. 21% of the goals are scored on the ice. And what did the Oilers do? They kept looking for the 5-hole. They kept looking for the short side, left and right on the ice. They learned from their mistakes. They talked about it. They made mistakes. Andrew, it's a game in which they had the scouting report. You had to know it. And then, like, even listening to the players afterwards, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Adam Henrique both get breakaways in that game. If they score, it's a completely different game. But it's kind of like one of our faithful listeners, Karen Heath, who lives in Las Vegas, says, if my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. And that's what it is. At the end of the day, they did not score on those breakaways, and they did not. They didn't capitalize. They didn't win. They got to go high on Bobrovsky. You know what I mean? And even if Bobrovsky knows they're going to go high on him, every team has known they have to go high on the Rangers. That's how the Rangers scored their few goals on Bobrovsky. That's how Tampa scored. You got to go high on this guy, and let's see. Can he steal 2 games in a row? It's his best game of the playoffs by far. Can you replicate that tonight? I'm not entirely sure, Andrew. I got to believe that the Oilers are going to even this one up tonight. The prices dropped a bit. When it first came out, it was at plus 120. Some books hung a plus 125 right after the game. DK did not last long. There's a lot of 115s out now. You're still getting plus money on them because the Florida Panthers are a very good team. You have to play near perfect hockey, Andrew, to beat this team. You literally have to play near perfect hockey. The Oilers almost played perfect hockey and still lost. Um, Thoughts on Bobrovsky and that goal chart?
Yeah, that's a really cool chart, Carm. Just showing where the goals are coming from, where he's giving up goals, and then where people are having success against him. And if I was the coach, I'd be saying, "Hey, thanks for the chart, Carm," and putting that right on the bulletin board in the locker room, because that's what they have to look at. They have to know to go there. But at the same time, a goalie can still steal you a game. Can a goalie in the Stanley Cup Finals steal you the series? That's the biggest question, right? And here's the thing, though, that people have to be worried about. Yeah, sure, Edmonton played the better game and lost. What if tonight they play the worst game and lose? That's the problem. You need to be able to win the games where you're the better team, quote unquote. And this is the thing, for anybody that's going to sit here and say, oh, no, they weren't the better team. Everybody knows they were. Florida fans, whoever you are, but it doesn't matter. That's hockey for you. That's the game that we play. That's the game we watch, the game we handicap, that you can have a great penalty kill. Barkov was unbelievable on the penalty kill, Carm. I saw a few videos floating around of him just knowing where to be at all times on the penalty kill, shutting them down, making the Oilers go 0 for 3 on the power play. If you told me they went, they had 3 power play chances, I would have told you they scored 1, maybe 2 of those opportunities. But for the Florida Panthers to get outplayed analytically and the eye test and still win the game, I have to think tonight's game will not be a walk in the park for either team, because I think Florida and Paul Maurice will recognize, hey, we didn't play a great game, guys. We got the win. But at the same time, when you're playing on the road, what's the ultimate goal, Carm, is to get a split. Get a split, go back home, and try and do some damage in front of your home crowd. So the Oilers still have to try and get the split, but the final analytical numbers, the expected goals from where I look, they said 5.61 to 1.88. I mean, that is a crazy difference for the Stanley Cup Finals. And guys, we take a look at the shots on goal in game 1, 32 to 18 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. Every single statistical category Edmonton beat the Panthers in, besides, well, winning the game and hits. And Carm, hits can win you a game, I guess, but they don't obviously count as a scoring chance, a goal. But Florida, we knew they were going to be physical. And my biggest question was, which advantage wins, the Oilers' speed or the Panthers' physicality? And so far, the physicality and the good goaltending of the Panthers take game 1. But it's going to be really interesting to see with the special teams. Will the Oilers continue to draw penalties? Will the Panthers be able to kill those off? Of course, the Panthers themselves went 0 for 2 on the power play, so they weren't successful either. We saw so many chances created. And as far as the total is concerned, Carm, of course, Stanley Cup Finals here. 2 teams playing well defensively right now. Of course, we are seeing 5.5 again as the total. And you think to yourself, if there were that many chances that the expected goal numbers were over 5 for the Oilers, the Panthers played so well, the teams were combined 0 for 5 on the power play, it makes you scratch your head and say, hey, are we going to see an over? But at the same time, for all the people that hate analytical stats, I can get it sometimes, because if we, right now, Carm, if we're just basing it off game 1 and also the power play opportunities, it'd be a good bet to take the over. But who's to say Bobrovsky doesn't play that well again? Skinner honestly played well too. And that brings me to my next point before I throw it back to you. Pretty much all week on every show I did last week, one of the favorite plays I mentioned, and I mentioned it on PuckTime last Thursday, was Stuart Skinner under 28.5 saves. I was talking it up like it was one of my favorite plays. And it hit. They lost the game 3-0, but they only got 18 shots. So the guy didn't have to get, 29 saves if he only had 18 shots against him. And so now they've adjusted the number, Carm, here to 26.5, and the over is actually minus 130. I'm going to go right back to the under. I love getting the plus 100 here. I'm sure Florida will shoot the puck more than they did in game 1. But if you're going to tell me that Florida had 18 shots on goal in game 1, and the number's only been dipped by 2, so it was 28.5 or 27.5. Now it's 26.5. So they need to get 27 shots on Stuart Skinner. I trust the defense of the Oilers. We saw them only give up 18 last game. And I like that it's kind of the contrarian here with the plus 100. I'll take Stuart Skinner again, Carm, under on his save prop. What do you think?
Yeah, I was on the opposite one in that one, just for a small little play on game one. I thought the 6 or 7 days off, we'd see a little more loose ice, and we did for the most part. The scoring chances were there, the goals weren't. So, do I, sort of looking back, do I regret putting in that play on taking the over? I don't. Everything went as I thought it would, except for the final result, of course. But you made the point of like Florida, Edmonton. I said they played quite possibly. They played the much better game. They made a couple of mistakes, and they were made to pay for both mistakes in that game. Of course, missed a couple breakaways. As I mentioned, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he says, in hindsight, if he could go back and do it again, he would have gone over the goalie's pads instead of trying to go through them or under them. So, hindsight 50-50. But the thing here is, and you talked about it, is even if the Oilers are able to replicate game one and play that style, if we're looking at the fact that the Florida Panthers did not play a very good game one, they won 3-0. I get it. One was an empty netter. So, but they won the game and got a shutout. We very rarely see the Florida Panthers in the playoffs, at least this season, play, games or get outplayed in back-to-back games. They just haven't done it. In the Rangers series, they were the best team in that series. In the Bruins series, they were the best team in every single game, with the exception of game one, where they lost 6-1, where they had 4 or 5 days off, and the Bruins came in on 1 day's rest, beating the Leafs in 7 games and pumped them for six goals in that one. Going back to the Tampa Bay series, that even that series, Tampa Bay was good in likely one game. Every single game, Florida dominated. So this is why it's perfectly fine to have differing opinions. Without differing opinions, you have no market. If everyone is on the same side, there is no market for the books, Andrew. So we'll see what Florida brings. I go back to what you just said, which is, when you're on the road for the first 2 games, I think you're perfectly happy heading home even at 1. Normally, you want to win the first one, so you're kind of free rolling that second one and putting all the pressure on that team. Teams that win game 1, what is it? Something like 74 or 75% go on to win the series. I think this is still going to be a 6-game series. I'm still sticking with that prediction. And I did say that, I wouldn't be bothered when I took the Oilers series. I wouldn't be bothered if the Oilers lost game 1. I wouldn't be thrilled, but I wouldn't be bothered by it. And I would likely dip back into the market again and take a little bit of action, maybe on the Oilers, if I liked what I saw in game 1 and thought that they could win game 2. And this is what you're getting right now. The Oilers at DK are plus 210. It's minus 250 on Florida. If you like Edmonton tonight, then you might want to just throw, 1% on the Oilers at plus 210, because if they were to win tonight and then now have home ice heading back home for games 3 and 4, that series price will be about minus 120 both ways, Andrew. If we're going on a 40-cent line, it's going to be about minus 120 both ways. The Oilers won't be favorites, but because you're always dealing 40-cent lines with these series prices, but the Oilers are going to drop significantly from plus 210 down to like the 120-ish range, and then these are all what ifs. Once again, they're what ifs. If the Oilers were to win game 3 at home, they're now the favorites. So you can grab Florida at that point if you believe Florida is going to even up the series, and you're going to get plus money both sides. It's one way of looking at it. I don't recommend it for everyone, but people who are very good at betting futures will understand where I'm coming from on taking the plus money that may and will not be there should a team win on that given night.
Carm, I just think that at this point, I was giving credit to the depth players of the Oilers, but I think that you and I can both agree that if you're looking at props tonight, like I was just looking at some of the numbers here, it's kind of it has to be the big guys, I think, for the Edmonton Oilers, right? As far as the shots are concerned, at least minimally for Hyman, for McDavid, maybe a point, power play point prop for Draisaitl, something like that. Because sure, Holloway, Kane, you can even include Nugent Hopkins in that conversation. But when it comes down to it, the top players have to be the top players. And for McDavid to say it himself that we got he pretty much said what you said, Carm. Always we got goalie. That's pretty much what he said. He pretty much said what happened to what we did to Dallas in Game 6 is pretty much what just happened to us, and it was that we deserved a better fate, but we didn't come out with the win. And I couldn't agree more with you that now is the time to jump in on the Edmonton Oilers to win the series. A lot of times the home team and the favored team to win the series takes game one. It happens a lot. So you're getting a better price. And like you said, if you believe in them and they're going to head back to Edmonton, where they've played such good hockey and a high scoring brand of hockey too, in Alberta, then you're definitely better off taking the series price on the Oilers versus just taking the money line for tonight. Carm, kind of an unsung hero, I think, for the Oilers this playoffs would be Evan Bouchard. I've talked about him with his assists. People have commented to us. I saw a pretty cool stat. This is from Saturday night's game. Shot attempts when Bouchard is on the ice, 49-12 for Edmonton. When he's not on the ice, 29-20 for the Florida Panthers. That's a big difference. That goes to show, number one, that he stretches the ice. He moves the puck up the ice very well. And number two, that they don't have that many defensemen that are offensive as well. And Bouchard really brings that offensive threat. So when he's out there with McDavid, they can't go super deep in by the goal line because they're worried about McDavid if they have Bouchard up there with his slap shot or wrist shot from the point. That's why it's so important for good teams to have one guy at least that has a good shot from the point. So, Carm, I've got mostly props here today for puck time. The under on Stuart Skinner's saves was one of them. I'll throw out another one that I ended up taking here, and it was Vladimir Tarasenko under on his points. It's pretty pricey, so it can be kind of a leg you want to put into something if you'd like. But Vladimir Tarasenko, he's been a good depth player for the Panthers, but it's not like he's finding the score sheet very often. Same thing with Anton Lundell. Last game, I put them both together. And the game before that, you can put these guys together because Lundell, he's only getting a point every 4 or 5 games. And these guys, I mean, look, when you're looking at a Stanley Cup Finals that had 3 goals, that's been so defensive throughout all the playoffs, especially with the Florida Panthers, you want to look and try and find these unders. The only over tonight I like as far as shots on goals that I feel really confident on, because a lot of my favorite plays really are unders. I would say one I have for clients only, and one would be Sam Reinhart over 2.5 shots on goal. This guy goes over his shots on goal every game. I think it's 4 out of his last 5 games. He's gone over the 2.5 shots on goal number. But everybody else around him, Carm, you mentioned Verhaeghe. You're better off taking that guy to score a goal versus his shots on goal prop. Kachuk, his number is too high, 3.5. He's not getting over that number. When it's at 2.5, I don't like the price on that one. So I'll take under points on Tarasenko, and I'll take Sam Reinhart over 2.5 shots on goal. Any thoughts on the power play props for this game, Carm, or is that trying to get a little bit too fancy with it? Because I truly do believe that as much as I made fun of certain teams like the Rangers for relying on the power play, the Oilers will definitely need a power play goal tonight, I think, to have any sort of success.
Andrew, 2 things. I'm going to get into a prop that I like, but I am going to stay away from the power play one just because, listen, the Oilers got a great power play, but they were unable to score. It is not as if the Florida Panthers penalty killing unit is chopped liver. They're number 6 going into the series in during the playoffs. So I get it, and a lot of that damage was done, or some of that damage was done in their very first series against Tampa Bay. And that power play, that seemed that anytime Tampa scored goals, it was just on the power play. 5-on-5, this is a very good team. So I'm going to stay away from those ones. I am going to look at when you look at the goalie shot props. If you're subscribing to the theory, or you're of the thought process that the Edmonton Oilers are going to bring it tonight, win or lose, they are going to continue to fire pucks at the net. And the Bobrovsky save prop is at 24.5. Now, either I'm missing something, or that is way too low for me, figuring that the Oilers have to play a good one. The only thing that sort of creeped into my mind was the game against the Dallas Stars, where Edmonton scored a couple of power play goals early, and then they just locked it down. And I think they ended up with 18 shots in that game, Andrew. That's the only thing that when I look at the shot prop of 24.5, and I'm not like auto clicking the over on Bobrovsky save props, is looking back at that the Oilers closer, the game in which they closed out the Dallas Stars. 18 shots on goal in that game, and 5 or 6 of them came in that third period. They didn't even have a lot. They had 8 at one point. I'm like, why aren't they shooting on goal? And it's because you've got the lead. You don't need to continue to score goals or continue to take chances. And they locked it. They locked it down. So we'll see what happens tonight. That's one I'm looking at. I want to address a guy in the chat who says, Hal, he thought I was upset because I responded to his. I try and respond to people in our chat. He's like, you don't regret putting in your overplay because it lost, or something like that, or whatever. If you review all of your plays, don't get emotionally tied to your plays. Practice good bankroll management. You're going to lose plays along the way. If the final numbers, and I read you the final numbers at the start of the show, dictated there should have been more goals in that game, and it just didn't go the way the numbers say it should have gone, I have no regret. I would make the exact same play, especially if you told me these are the numbers that you're going to end up at the end of the game. You're going to lose plays along the way. It is like, and just to go off on a quick tangent, Andrew, I went to a friend hosts a poker tournament, 20, 30 guys, sometimes 40 guys every couple Sundays. The Prez was there, busted out, you went home. But there's a guy at the final table, and he loses with aces. And he goes, I always lose with aces. I'm never going to play aces. That is becoming emotionally tied to a hand. Aces versus a random hand is 86% to win. Are you going to fold your aces pre-flop because you've lost with them before? Don't become emotionally tied to a single loss here and there. It's going to happen, guys. But that was pretty much it. By the way, Andrew, I ended up chopping in that tournament. The last 3, we just split the money, and I called it a night. So with that said, Hal, hopefully that answers your question. Practice some bankroll management, my friend. You're going to lose plays along the way. And whether you think you should have won, or whether you think you shouldn't have lost, whatever, however you want to put it, it's going to happen. Deal with your emotions, my friend. How's that, Andrew? Is that good?
Big time. Big time.
Should we have like the old man yelling at the cloud segment at the end of every show? That's that would be me, the old man yelling at the clouds.
That would be a good one for the regular season, I think. Just one thing that pissed us off about the night before every single week. One thing that pissed us off. Yeah, Carm, I'm excited for the game tonight, and I'll tell you, for me personally, I've got a best bet for clients, actually a 3% play for clients, and then in that same package, all my prop bets as well. It won't be a ton, but we'll try and isolate my favorite ones for this week. We got a great deal going on over at WagerTalk.com, of course. Great deal with the 7-day pass. We had a good rest of June special going. last week, but right now everybody can take advantage of a really good deal for the next 7 days. $77 all access package for any handicapper of your choice. And for me right now, handicapping the NHL, handicapping NBA props. We have got MLB and, of course, the CFL, Canadian Football League, got off to a great start, a profitable week for me. And the 5% run is now 11-2 for me with those 5% plays. So, guys, 7-day for 77 all access pass. You can get everything. Regular price, of course, being $99. So, Carm, a few props, like I mentioned, that I like there for the show tonight. But, of course, the best bet's going to be found at WagerTalk.com. What do you have going today?
Not much going today, guys. One play in the NHL. And if you watched this show today and you paid attention to what I was saying, I pretty much gave you what the play was. So all I'll say is I am not on Florida. I am not on the over or the under. But with that said, Andrew, I'm gearing up. Listen, this is kind of a big week for me. I'm going to be offline for a bit, so getting some medical stuff done. Big week for me. I'm looking forward to the Euros. The Euros kick off on Friday. The only show I'll be doing the rest of the week is Thursday's Puck Time and Wager Talk today on Thursday, where I'll cover Game 3 of the NHL playoffs and then talk about the Euros. Guys, if you go to my page at Wager Talk, which is wt.buzz/CB, every single day of the Euros, I am going to be posting overnight a prop play on a game for the following day. So you will find those. I'm going to record videos.
I just lost audio too there, Dan. We lost you there, Carm. Guys, Carm was just letting us know about his huge deal he had going with the Euros, and he's also going to be doing all kinds of free play videos as well overnight. So you can find all those at Wager Talk TV, and there's going to be so many videos people are posting, not just for these half an hour long videos we do at Wager Talk, but of course you have Drew Martin doing an MLB video in the morning. You have Mark Zinno and Brian Power teaming up doing a video in the mornings. You've got Teddy Covers doing his morning show as well. So there's so many great shows you can find at Wager Talk TV, not just these long-winded shows as well. But we also hope you guys enjoy these shows and we can kind of talk hockey more, go over the prop sides, totals, and everything else in between that. Guys, I want to know what you're interested in. I want to know. So comment below, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel here on Wager Talk TV. I know that a lot of you guys probably have your opinions made up. So do they bounce back? Do they not bounce back? Over, under? Carmine and myself want to know what you guys think about tonight's game. That's for sure. Carm, you're back. Over to you, man.
Yeah, I was just babbling on for about 2-3 minutes, and I'm like, I didn't even know I was frozen until I looked at my picture on the screen, and I looked like I had been hit. I looked like a fly in a windshield. You know that the splatter thing? That's what I looked like, the flying in the windshield. But anyways, the only shows for me this week are Wager Talk today and Puck Time Game 3 on Thursday. Likely we'll have someone filling in for me on Friday. Likely Brian Leonard, if he's watching this, drop me a line. Let me know you can do the Saturday Game 4. But what I was saying is the Euros kick off on the 14th. You can get all 3 tournaments for $129. So I'll be talking about the Euros. The Copa America kicks off on June 20th. Canada versus the defending World Cup champions Lionel Messi and Argentina at Mercedes-Benz Arena in Atlanta. That's going to be a great tournament as well too. And then the Leagues Cup a little later on. But follow me at on my Wager Talk page, wt.buzz/CB. Every single day, I am going to put up a free play, whether it's a goal scoring prop or any type of prop on my page for the whole Euro tournament and the Copa America. There'll be a free play every single day overnight posted that you guys can follow along. So you don't need to be a customer. You can get those plays for free. They're just prop plays, but you'll find them on my page. That's pretty much it, Andrew. I'm looking forward to this tournament. Back to you. Take us home.
All right, guys. Like I said again, let us know in the comments section below who you are taking for tonight's big game, Game 2, Panthers and Oilers. Let's cash those tickets. And again, I will say my free play of the day, under on saves, 26.5 for Stuart Skinner, Edmonton Oilers. Guys, best of luck. Enjoy the game. We'll see you next time right here on Puck Time.